Hey guys, welcome back to Margot Watches Movies. My name is Jake Margot. Tonight we're talking Chad Powers episode 4. I found this episode to be interesting. It was kind of a tug of war of quality and some of the things I don't really like about the show so far, but I do think it was yet again another step up from the first two episodes. I think it stepped away from some of the more crude and elementary visual sight gags that I've complained about in my last couple of reviews. It focused on a singular objective. This was very much a side quest episode, bridging the gap of main storylines while throwing in some action from the season. And you don't see any football action tonight. This is all really about Russ Holiday, not even Chad Powers, and his quest to secure some prosthetic glue on a road trip in Knoxville on the road playing the Tennessee Volunteers, realizing that he does not have the necessary materials to keep his whole prosthetic appearance gig up. And however you feel about that story, that specific story beat within this episode, I do think it does a good job of not only setting up some framework for what I imagine to be hopefully a soon to arrive plot point of Ricky finding out that Chad Powers is in fact Russ Holiday, but it really shines a light behind the curtain of who Russ Holiday is as a person, as you get to spend more time with him and Whiskers. I can't remember the gentleman's name, but the mascot that is helping and aiding Russ in his ruse to, be Chad Powers. And you get some good tension in this episode between the two characters. While I also think there were a couple ludicrous stuff that I know I get what they're doing, like the wacky hijinks and stuff like this, but throwing like a gun into the mix. I mean, this is college football. Players have done dumber stuff, I guess, but um, I wasn't necessarily a fan of like just certain little plot beats in this episode, namely like the gun aspect and cutting his hand on glass after their car gets broken into. It just felt like something to, they were just thinking of things that they could utilize to draw the tension out. Now, that being said, the majority of the episode I think was a success as much as like what was essentially a filler episode can be, because we lay these points down again for future plot developments. We flesh out Russ Holiday / Chad Powers more, his dynamic with the mascot, his dynamic with Ricky. We even get a little resolution between the fight between Ricky and Coach, played by Steve Zahn, last week. And you have this real poignant interaction with Russ Holiday and Ricky getting on an elevator where she recognizes him. He actually, and it's a very tender moment from Chad, I think, from Russ, really, where he recognizes a chance to kind of elevate her self-esteem and be like, "Aren't you Coach Ricky from the Catfish?" And you see her kind of light up and get gushy, and you're like, "Oh, yeah, I didn't expect you to know who I was." And he even takes that chance to kind of throw out this little line of, "I saw your fight with your dad, and I just think you should make up, do something." And it's a touching moment where earlier in the episode you juxtapose that with this fight between Russ and his mascot friend, where Russ retreats back into his self-destructive, narcissistic, and selfish worst self. And it was almost a hard watch at that point for me, where I was just like, oh man, is this really where the episode is going? Like, it felt like 3 big steps back as far as character development goes. And then the episode makes sure to show little minor steps forward along the way. There's a couple other times where it felt like the show was going into a grounded, emotional place, like the Tennessee Volunteer fan telling Chad about like why he's putting on these prosthetics when they meet in the Spirit Halloween store, and about how his dad, had passed and he always thought it was ridiculous, but he's doing this to carry on his legacy. And then it just ends up like Chad stealing the guy's glue. And I thought that they were going to have a moment where like Chad is the bigger man and like gives the guy the glue and is like, we'll figure out another way, but they don't. They steal it from him. And there were parts of this episode again that I elicited some laughs. I thought there were several pretty funny moments. The humor is staying pretty good. It went away again from the tacky like visual gags. Oh, prosthetic, water coming out of my face. Oh, there's a bug in my face. I don't find that to be funny. So I think the episode was leaner tonight. It was a little short, but as far as filler episodes go, there's not a whole lot to talk about here tonight. Besides that, I think it did its job adequately. I'm seeing some promise here. I think Glenn Powell was really good tonight. He's a really good actor. There's a reason he has had this breakout success he's had, and to see him kind of take on, I think this is kind of a challenging role because he's having to obviously play two different characters, play a dumb, a guy badly acting as a character while also playing this asshole who's kind of, it's going to be the trope of, as the longer he's in Chad, the more, the veil and the defenses he's built up from his mistakes will slowly break down, namely probably through Ricky. So I'm enjoying the show more than I thought I would after the first two episodes. I still don't think it's anything special, but it's a sports show. It's scratching that itch. I'm enjoying Glenn Powell. I'm kind of curious to see, how him and Ricky will handle her finding out, because I have to imagine that's coming soon, because where the episode closes is her Googling Chad Powers, or excuse me, Russ Holiday. And they make a point to show like stupid tattoo. And I don't know if Russ is hiding the tattoo as he's Chad Powers, but I feel like that's kind of going to be the way she finds out if he doesn't just tell her. So how will they overcome that tension? I think they've done a good job in earlier episodes with Steve Zahn's character as a head coach, knowing that his ass is in a hot seat, to where if he does find out, I do think he's going to be okay with it because he needs to win to keep his job. So the pieces are there. How long are we going to be able to keep dragging this out? I really hope that we get a little, next week, please let Ricky or Steve Zahn find out and let's go from there. But we'll see. Other than that, I think this is a 6.5 episode and a 6.5 show so far. But I think we could get better if the show matures a little bit, and stops being so wacky at times, and reins in some of these kind of ridiculous storylines. I think we have a winner here, but it's starting to find its footing. I'm more optimistic than I've been. So let me know what you guys thought in the comments below. Give me a like, give me a subscribe if you liked the video. I'm really close to 100, I think 1 or 2 away. So if you're new to the channel, you want to keep tuning in for Chad Powers, give me a subscribe. I appreciate it. But besides that, guys, this is Jake Margo. This is Margo Watches Movies. I appreciate you guys tuning in. And as always, we'll see you next time. Thanks.